Question for you. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? Hey philosophers, I'm Jonas, and this is Philosophy Friday, a place where we advise everyone to think way too deeply about way too much. Don't forget to check out the question for next week so you can be part of the conversation. Today's question: what kinds of things would you change about your life if you could? What advice would you give your younger self? Would you tell yourself to take more risks, or maybe to take fewer? Would you want your younger self to be prepared for something that you weren't ready for the first time? I'm sure there are a good number of you that would tell your younger selves to like, subscribe, and comment on Philosophy Friday videos. That's good advice if you ask me. What kind of advice would members of the Philosophy Friday community give their younger selves? Let's find out. Sharon B. writes, to be brave and to try new things by myself instead of being afraid to do so on my own. Tell myself how healthy and beautiful I was, but also to be kind to myself because I also did a pretty darn good job at navigating life. To finish school and don't stop going because someone told me your future husband's schooling is more important right now. Remember to love myself and give myself the love and attention I gave my children. Russ R. says, to take it easy and stop worrying about everything so much because it literally isn't as important as you think it is. Sydney Baldwin writes, I'd tell my younger self that everything is temporary and to not give up any good habits for bad ones. I'd explain that the easy relief for your pain now will cause you more pain later on. Cindy B. writes that part of growing older is changing. You have to be open to the ways you might change, and you also have to be willing to see people you love change and learn to love the new versions of them too. I think a lot about this poem in relation to myself and others by Heidi Priebe. To love someone long-term is to attend to 1,000 funerals of people they used to be. The people they're too exhausted to be any longer. The people they don't recognize inside themselves anymore. The people they grew out of. The people they never ended up growing into. We so badly want the people we love to get their spark back when it burns out, to become speedily found when they are lost. But it is not our job to hold anyone accountable to the people they used to be. It is our job to travel with them between each version and to honor what emerges along the way. Sometimes it will be an even more luminescent flame. Sometimes it will be a flicker that disappears and temporarily floods the room with a perfect and necessary darkness. These are all great replies. Thank you all for your answers. This is a hard question for me to answer. In some respects, the answer should be obvious. I've made some personal choices that I feel have changed my life for the better, and I'm tempted to say I'd choose those. But there are also aspects of my life that would be very different if I'd made those drastic changes sooner. In fact, I'm pretty sure if I made some of those big changes earlier, I wouldn't be married or have my daughter. And I don't want to be without either my wife or my daughter. So even though it might be the obvious choice to my current self, those bigger changes are going to have to wait till their natural time. Also, I know my younger self well enough to know that I probably wouldn't listen to my current self in regard to said changes. Surprising myself more than anyone, I also wouldn't give myself stock tips or investment advice, because I'm not sure how any significant financial success might change my current circumstances. If I'm honest, there's a part of me that worries that any advice I'd possibly give my younger self might risk changes in the present that I'd find unacceptable. So, would I tell myself anything? After long and careful consideration, I think I'd tell me one thing. I'd tell myself to not be so sure of myself and to always entertain the possibility that I'm wrong, especially in the things that I'm most sure about. I wasn't always willing to entertain the notion that I might be wrong, but I think that accepting that possibility is perhaps one of the most important things any of us can do. I'm planning to talk about logical fallacies in a future video, but really what I'm getting at is to beware of what's known as confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when we consider evidence that supports our beliefs more strongly than evidence that contradicts those beliefs. In fact, contradiction bias might even cause us to see evidence that supports opposing views as evidence for our beliefs. I can say for certain that I haven't always been open to contradictory opinions, and I'm certainly not perfect at recognizing confirmation bias in my own thinking now. But looking for evidence that my beliefs and theories are wrong is a skill that I've tried to perfect, and I wish that I would have started working on that sooner. This still carries the risk for changes that I consider unacceptable, so it's probably best that I haven't been given the chance to advise little Jonas. Before we close, I want to leave you with one more question, because we're all about questions. What advice do you think a future version of you would give current day you? I'll leave you to ponder that. Thanks for watching, and keep questioning. So what advice would you give younger you? Comment below with your thoughts. And if you like this video, join our conversation for next week about what we would invent if there were no limits. On screen now.